So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about some of the highlights about the University of Ottawa. So first of all, we are a research-intensive institution. For us, research is very important. We have a number of research groups. We do a lot of cutting-edge research. And as a graduate student in a master's or a PhD program, you would be doing research and you would have the opportunity to really focus in and become an expert in your area. You would work with some world-class researchers to really answer some really important questions. Uh, with the University of Ottawa comes prestige and recognition. We are a rather well-ranked university. This year we were ranked 176th in the entire world by Times Higher Education. We're consistently well-ranked, and it's a well-known university in Canada. When you get your degree, whatever that degree may be at the University of Ottawa, it holds you in good stead. You have a very good credential that will help you in your future. If you decide to stay in Canada after your studies, a University of Ottawa degree is a great credential to have. If you decide to go back to your home country at the end, that's great too. You can take your University of Ottawa degree and it will help you in your career. Or if you decide to go somewhere entirely different, if you decide to go find your career in Australia or France, a University of Ottawa degree will go with you and give you a good foothold to start your successful career wherever you are. We do work to make sure that students have the resources that they need to be successful. So of course, that means classrooms and the lab space and materials. But very importantly for graduate students, it means that you get some office space. For a lot of the master's programs, there's reserved rooms just for you, the master's students. And in some cases for PhD students, you get entire offices just for you. So we really make sure that you have the resources necessary to succeed. That could be these workspaces, or it could be counseling. It could be academic support, writing support, to make sure that you are successful in your core program. We also do work to make sure that you have opportunities to be included, to do extracurricular activities. We make sure that you have the opportunity to try new things, expand your horizons. Maybe you want to learn a bit of ice hockey, but even if that's not quite your thing, hockey isn't, and the snow and cold isn't quite for you, there's lots of other sports you can get involved with. You can be involved very intensely with the varsity teams, or you could play a little more casually. But we do make sure that you have the opportunities to be socially active so that you're not isolated while you're here. But we consider that a very important part of a very important step in contributing to your academic success. The University of Ottawa is a very international institution. About 14% of our students are international students on student visas, but even more of those students they're considered permanent residents now, but they may have been born abroad. So you have an opportunity to learn about all sorts of different cultures. There's festivals, there's food, lots of different cultural activities. You can learn about different cultures, but you also have opportunities to teach students about your culture, whatever you may want to share. There are lots of opportunities to get involved and really develop your academic experience internationally. And we do make sure we support you on that. In the city of Ottawa, you can expect quite a high quality of life, high quality of living. We're kind of one of Canada's larger cities. We have about 1 million people, so we're not too big, but not too small. We have some of Canada's larger shopping centers, so you'll find pretty much everything you might need and want while you're living in Ottawa. But traffic isn't too bad. The city isn't gigantic. You can generally get where you need to go without too much trouble. And the cost of living is kind of medium for Canada. So you can expect a decent quality of life while you're studying in Ottawa. And Ottawa is, in fact, the capital city of Canada. And the University of Ottawa is located right downtown. On the screen right now is a photo of Canada's National Parliament. And you can actually see this building from the University of Ottawa campus. We're right downtown. You can walk everywhere. You have that direct line of sight, very close to national institutions. There's NGOs, embassies, corporate headquarters, lots of opportunities to start building those connections, depending on what you may be studying. So again, you could be living and studying in the capital city of a G7 country. Overall, we think that the University of Ottawa, situated in the city of Ottawa, it's a great place to really contribute to your academic, professional, and personal success. There's lots of opportunities to develop these different aspects of who you are as a person and to really be successful in whatever you set out to do. So those are a few of the highlights about the city and the university here in Ottawa. But very importantly, you may be asking, where is Ottawa? So as I mentioned, Ottawa is one of Canada's larger cities, but it's not the biggest. Specifically, I first of all hope that all of you know where Canada is. If you're not familiar, you're probably aware of our very big neighbor to the south of Canada, United States. We're just north of them. And Ottawa is located in the eastern part of the country, in eastern Canada. And more specifically, within Canada, we're located between Montreal and Toronto. Those are two big Canadian cities that maybe you have heard of before. So we're between those two big cities. They're very easy to get to by bus, by train, by plane. And going south to the United States, we're not too far from New York City. It's about 550 kilometers to New York City. That in North America, that's not so far. You can get there by plane in about 1.5 hours, or you can take the bus. It's a little bit long. It maybe takes about 8 to 10 hours by bus, but you can go to New York City if you have a holiday or a long weekend. It's an affordable and easy way to go experience one of these, a big city like New York, easily from Ottawa. So overall, I would like to highlight a unique characteristic of the University of Ottawa, and that is that we are the world's largest French-English bilingual university. This means that we work and study and operate in both of these languages, English and French. But very importantly, the bilingualism is an option. It is not mandatory to speak both languages. Many of our programs are available in English and in French, and you have the choice. So we have students who come to the University of Ottawa who choose to study only in English, and that's okay. And we have other students who choose to study only in French, and that's okay as well. And of course, we have some students who choose to use both languages. So it's really your choice. And if you, for example, speak English, but you want to learn French, it's a great place to learn and to practice and develop that third or fourth language, whatever French may be for you. And we have classes to support you in that. And as I mentioned, the University of Ottawa, we are quite well ranked. We're consistently ranked among the top 2% of universities worldwide, depending on the different ranking system that you might be looking at. So back to the idea of research and kind of the knowledge that we might produce and contribute to. Just last week, the University of Ottawa signed an agreement with Canada's largest research and technology park. This is an area called Kanata North, and it's located in the western part of Ottawa. And it's a big technology park where you have more than 500 companies, and they employ over 21,000 skilled workers. So this gives you an illustration of one of the major industries in Ottawa. Technology is very important, and as a student, you often have the opportunity to go and work and to do research in these companies, and it's a great place to really develop your skills. specifically in technology. Of course, if you're studying other areas, we have opportunities for that as well. On your screen now, you'll see the names of our faculties. We have 9 different faculties in total. This is kind of the way that we divide up our programs of study and our research groups, very general areas. Probably the titles of our faculties are not surprising to you. However, I would like to mention that sometimes the types of programs that you might find in the faculties may be different than what you're used to at your university or in your country. To give you an example, economics. If you are interested in studying economics, for many universities, economics would be found in the Faculty of Management, in the business faculty. But here at the University of Ottawa, economics is found in the Faculty of Social Sciences. Now that's just an example, but I did want to highlight it and encourage you, make sure that you consider different options. The faculties you see up there are just an organizational way to figure out how to group our students and researchers. But there are opportunities for you to look in different areas if you want to tie in different areas of knowledge. It's definitely possible. We do invest heavily in our infrastructure. There's lots of opportunities to work with new equipment. We have new office spaces, workspaces for students. On the screen are 4 of our more recent buildings that I'll just quickly highlight. We have the Advanced Research Complex, which is it houses Canada's only accelerator mass spectrometer, only one in Canada. And as a student, you would have access to that to be looking at particle physics and material sciences. It's a great place to be doing your research. We have our largest faculty actually is the Faculty of Social Sciences, and it is in fact one of the best funded faculties of social sciences in Canada. So being in the capital city, you have lots of opportunities to really develop those social science research opportunities. We also have a new learning center where there's all sorts of new equipment specifically for students, including virtual reality equipment where you can go and work on different projects to really do some experimenting on your academic or personal projects. And finally, our most recently open building, the STEM facility, that's just opened 2 months ago. There's no classrooms there, but there's really interesting workspaces and lab spaces for you, the students, to do some experimenting and really get your hands on some materials. One little highlight is that there are many 3D printers for students to use for free, whether that's your individual projects, just something you're doing on your own, or it's part of a class. You have access to those resources. So that gives you an overview, I think, about the University of Ottawa, but I would like to take a moment to talk a little bit about more administrative things, those important little details, rules, things like that. So jumping right in, if you're interested in doing a master's or PhD program, in many cases, you will be doing research. And if you're doing research, you need a research supervisor. So a research supervisor is a professor at the University of Ottawa who will support you and guide you on your individual research project. And in many cases, you need to find that research professor before you do your application. More specifically, if you are interested in doing a PhD, you must find a research supervisor before you do your admissions application. Similarly, if you are doing a research-based master's degree in areas such as natural sciences, medicine, health sciences, engineering, these types of sciences, you do also need to find a research supervisor in advance. Alternatively, if you are doing a program where there is no research, in that case, you do not need a supervisor. I think it makes sense. Also, for certain master's programs, like in the arts or social sciences or law, education, these types of areas of study, In those cases, you do not need a research supervisor in advance. In these cases, you do your admissions application first, and if you are admitted, when you arrive in Ottawa, then you will start your search for a supervisor. So the order is a little bit different there. And if you're uncertain about that, you're very welcome to email me to confirm what exactly you need to do. Now, for many of you, you will need to find a supervisor. So I would like to take a moment to give a few little helpful tips when you are looking for a supervisor. First thing I would like to say is take your time. Probably finding a supervisor is probably the most complicated, stressful, difficult step in the entire process, but it is very important. So take your time. It's not something you can do just in one night. You want to make sure you do it properly. I strongly recommend that before you start contacting professors, that you take a moment to write a research statement. Think about what you want to do. What is your research question and problem and project? Write it down so that you can clearly show professors and explain very clearly what you want to do and see if they would be interested in working with you. You will have to contact professors directly to ask if they will accept you as a student. When you contact a professor, keep your email short. They get a lot of emails, so you want to make sure that you get to the point very quickly. I highly recommend include a copy of your CV, include a copy of your transcripts. Unofficial is okay. Don't pay money or anything to send official ones yet. Just your unofficial ones are okay, just to show the professor your grades. If you have a language test score, it's a good idea to include that. But if you don't have it, don't worry, it's not strictly necessary. And of course, your research statement. That is very important. You want to make sure that you are explaining to the professor what it is you want to research. So part two, if you are planning to apply for a scholarship in your country, please make sure that you mention in your email that you do plan to apply for that scholarship. Professors love it when students are applying for a scholarship. So that can really make you more attractive. So I highly recommend it. I also suggest that it's possible to contact more than one professor at a time. If you find 2 or 3 professors who look interesting to you, it's okay to contact all of them. However, do not, please do not send them a mass email. Don't put them all in the same email. They don't like that. Basically, professors like to feel special. So if you can write a custom individual email to each of those 2 or 3 professors, that's the best approach. And finally, some professors will say no. This is why I say look for 2 or 3. Some of them will say no. They may be too busy. They may be going on research sabbatical, or they have too many students. They may say no. That's normal. Don't worry. I would like to quickly mention here a little bit about the suggested timeline that you might want to follow. Excuse me. Basically, around this time of year is when you would be preparing your application in order to start your studies in September. This is the most common time to start your program, and it is also it is the time when you will have the most opportunities for scholarships. So that can be an important consideration. Around this time of year is when you would want to start finding a research supervisor, submitting your online application. When you do submit your online application, the process can take a little bit of time. You'll have to send in official documents like your transcripts, translations of your transcripts, language test scores, for example. That takes time as well. And you want to try and get everything in usually by January, maybe even earlier if possible. You will get, once you do your application online, you will be given access to your own individual uOZone account. That's your University of Ottawa account. And that's where you can follow the status of your application. And it's also where you will find the response about whether you got in or not. Usually around April is the common time when you'll start to get a response from the university. If you are successful and you are admitted, you can use your admission letter to apply for external scholarships. That could mean a scholarship in your country. There's a few different organizations around the world that you could apply for using your letter of acceptance. So you need that admission letter first for many scholarship programs. If you do receive a scholarship, please make sure that you let us know. It's very important that the university knows in advance. And then, of course, you'll begin your studies in September. Sometimes it is possible to start your program in January or even in May, but that is rare. It depends on the program. And there are far, far fewer scholarship opportunities if you plan to start in May or in January. I quickly mention some of the scholarship opportunities and funding opportunities. First of all, for master's students, if you are doing a research-based master's program, there is an automatic bursary valued at 800 Canadian dollars per term. So there's 3 terms per year, so you're guaranteed 2,400 Canadian dollars for the 1 year. If you do a program with a full thesis, you can get that scholarship for full 2 years. Other programs is just 1 year, but it is a guaranteed nice little scholarship that we give to all our international master's students in those research-based programs. If you're doing a PhD, you are guaranteed an international doctoral scholarship. This is a new scholarship that we offer, and it reduces international tuition to at least the same level as a Canadian student. So international PhD students never pay more than a Canadian PhD student. So we do work to make sure that you have tools to make your cost of study more accessible. We do offer international admission scholarships on a competitive basis. When you do your admissions application, we will consider you at the same time for one of these major scholarships. And that is a big scholarship that would cover a much larger portion of your costs, but it is competitive. Finally, it is possible to work while you're studying. In Canada, legally, you can work up to 20 hours per week. That's anywhere. It could be on campus or off campus, in a restaurant, in the library, wherever. A common job for graduate students is working as a teaching assistant or a research assistant. These are jobs that pay quite well, where you would work with a professor to support them in their teaching or in their research. Sometimes they're given as part of a scholarship, but many times they are given on a competitive basis. So you would have to apply for them. So that concludes the main part of my presentation there. On the screen, you'll see my name, Kyle, and my email address, sponsoredstudents@uottawa.ca. So you're very welcome to get in touch if you have any questions. And now I'm going to scroll down and see if I can answer some of your questions. I'm sorry if the audio has been a little bit off for some of you.
So sorry, Kyle, while you brought some questions, just general information. Someone asked if the presentation would be available afterwards. So this presentation is being recorded. So afterwards, we will send everyone that registered the link where you can find the presentation so that you can revisit it if needed. So that's just a note on that. Okay, so now we can go to the questions. Yes.
Right. I see that there's interest in studying physics. Yes, we have physics. We have a very strong program in physics. It's a little bit small, but it's very strong, particularly in photonics, for example. I see there's interest in studying law. Yes, we have a very good faculty of law that covers civil law and common law, both systems. International law is a big for us. And yes, there are scholarship opportunities for that. In terms of competing for one of these scholarships, basically rule number one is do research. The more research you're doing, the more research intensive your program, the more opportunities for research. Any scholarship from the university will be given at the same time as your admission response. So it does mean you have to go through the normal admission process, exactly like I described, before you would be considered for any scholarships. So yes, if you're going into one of those programs that requires a supervisor, make sure you contact them in advance, do the application, and then you can be considered for a scholarship. In terms of architecture, unfortunately, we do not offer any architecture at the University of Ottawa. We offer civil engineering, but that's probably the closest option we would have there. The Canada Pacific Alliance, I believe I know this program. Unfortunately, no, University of Ottawa is not part of that program. In terms of postdocs in general, postdoctoral positions are a little bit different at the University of Ottawa. They are treated as more of an employment opportunity. So you don't apply in the same way. If you are interested in a postdoc, that is the step that comes after a PhD, my advice is to start networking with professors directly and start explaining your research interest and inquire about if a postdoc would be possible with different professors. In terms of finding the list of programs of study, a good way, you're very welcome to email me and I can help direct you, but you're also very welcome to go to grad.uottawa.ca and you should be able to find a link directly from there to our page with the graduate programs. So with the master's and PhD, as well as links to the process and requirements for each program. In terms of the subject area that you may want to go to, if you're thinking you may want to change your area of study, sometimes that is possible. There has to be a certain logic. Of course, you can't go from studying a master's degree in history to a PhD in physics. That's a little bit too different. But if you went from, just say, history to political science, that could be possible. So you'd want to kind of think about the logic of your studies progression. Generally, we do recognize bachelor's and master's degrees from well-known universities in different countries. So if your university is relatively well-known, where you obtained your previous degree, chances are that it's not going to be a problem for us to recognize it. If it's a smaller, lesser-known university, we may ask for a few extra credentials just to show what your previous studies were. If you studied in an English-speaking country, such as United States or the United Kingdom or Australia, for at least 2 years, that's 24 months, you could, in principle, be exempted from doing an English test. It's not always automatic, but when you do your admissions application, if you have studied in English or in French in a country that speaks one of those languages, you can contact the faculty directly to ask for an exemption from that language test. But generally, the rule is you must have studied in a country that speaks that language for at least 2 years. So even if you studied in English in Mexico, unfortunately, that does not count. It has to be an English-speaking country or a French-speaking country if you want to study in French. Yes, let me see. Yes, in terms of some of the subjects we do have mathematics. We do have epidemiology, immunology, areas related to medical sciences. In terms of short internships, short research stays, yes, that is very possible. We do have a visiting student researcher program. If you would like to come and do a research stay anywhere between 1 up to 12 months, yes, it is possible to do that. There are no tuition fees for research stays. You have to pay a $300 administrative fee, but that's it. So it's relatively accessible. In order to do that, you again need to find a research supervisor at the University of Ottawa before you can come and do that research stay. Let me see. Yes, in terms of if you're interested in studying to become an English teacher, yes, we do have quite a few options there. You could be focusing on bilingualism studies. You could be studying more on the pedagogical side. There are quite a few different options depending on your particular focus. In terms of the competitive basis for the university scholarships, the departments and the faculties will look at your overall admissions application. So all the documents you send in could be considered in part of that, but primarily it is going to be your GPA, your grades. That is probably the most important aspect of your consideration for an admission scholarship. I should mention they are quite competitive, so I always recommend consider every option you can. It's okay to have multiple scholarships, so consider everything. In terms of the GRE or a GMAT exam, generally speaking, no, they're not required. In some of the programs in the Faculty of Management for business studies, yes, the GRE or the GMAT exam is required, but in most programs, no, it is not required. Oh, a very good question. What is the difference between a Master of Arts in Education and a Master of Education? This is a very, very good question, and it's similar to a question in engineering. You may find that you will see programs such as Master of Applied Science in Chemical Engineering, or just Master of Engineering, Chemical Engineering. The big difference is research. Basically, if the title of the degree is longer, so Master of Arts in Education or Master of Applied Science, Chemical Engineering, the longer titles means research. It means that you will be doing a research project. It means that you could be considered for a scholarship in that case, and it does allow you to continue on to a PhD in the future if you want. The shorter versions, so Master of Education, Master of Engineering, those shorter title ones are more professional and they do not have research. And generally, there are no scholarships or fewer scholarships. And you do not have the option to continue to a PhD in those types of programs. If you're uncertain about the program you're choosing, please send me an email. I'd be very happy to confirm what type of program you're applying for. In terms of second language studies and applied linguistics, yes, we do have quite a few options there. Again, it depends on your focus, what you might want to do, but there are quite a few options there. In terms of specifically data science, at this moment, no, we do not have a program in specifically data science. However, within computational sciences or computer science, you can focus your research in data, data analysis, big data, but at the moment, the title of the degree, no, we do not have a program with that title. Again, postdoctoral, I mentioned before, but sports sociology, yes, we have quite a few areas, researchers working in those areas. Full coverage scholarships. It's possible, yes. In general, no. The university doesn't generally offer directly full coverage scholarships. In most cases, even if you got a large competitive scholarship directly from the university, you would have to top up the remaining living expenses, other little expenses on your own. But I do recommend that you consider applying for a scholarship program in your country, because quite often those external scholarships are full coverage. They're much larger generally. In terms of applying for scholarships, it's pretty simple. When you submit your admissions application, I believe that on the online form, there's a question and it will ask, do you want a scholarship? And of course, you say yes, and that's it. We will use the same documents to consider you at the same time for a university scholarship. So it's pretty simple. But any external scholarships, like a scholarship from your country, that's a separate process and you have to look at their requirements. That's entirely separate from the university, although we will do everything we can to support you in applying for one of those external scholarships. Information about, I'm not sure I quite understand, assessors. If you're looking for supervisors, you'd have to search around on different faculty websites. I'm not sure exactly what assessors might refer to. Can you work, and you can legally work up to 20 hours per week. Whether it is a good idea or not depends on you. Some students, they find that they are able to manage their time, they can manage their workload, and they can work while they study in a master's program or even a PhD, but these programs can be very intense, and some students find they simply don't have time. They find they cannot be successful in their program of study if they are working. So working is a nice option, but I do recommend consider your own capacity for doing academic work. Are you the type of person who can balance those types of things or not? And that's an individual question you'd have to ask. In terms of writing the format for your research statement, no, there's no specific format. It's really a matter of explaining what you want to do. Remember, these professors are real people. You want to make sure they understand what is it that is of interest to you and why do you want to work with that professor. In terms of visual arts specifically, that may involve a certain amount of submitting portfolio work, samples of your work. And I would suggest contacting the department directly to get a little bit of a better idea of exactly what visual arts specifically might want. In terms of cancer research, yes, we do have a large faculty of medicine where they are doing quite a lot of work on cancer research. I believe the program would be likely called Cellular and Molecular Medicine. You won't find Master of Cancer or Oncology. We don't have a program titled that way. The program would be Cellular and Molecular Medicine. In terms of social sciences, if you are finishing up your master's degree right now in social sciences or really any program, any subject, I generally recommend start the process about 1 year in advance. It's okay to start the process before you finish your previous degree. The requirement will be that you have to finish your degree before you can be formally admitted. So that means, for example, if you submit your application now, you send in all your other documents, your transcripts so far, your English test score, you get everything sent in by January, and you finish your degree in March, you could send your degree in around April, and you would get an admission response around May or June. That's a little bit late, and you may not get the opportunity to apply for as many scholarships. But in terms of process, it is possible. If you want to be considered for the most number of scholarships, you may want to consider waiting a year because applying as early as possible with all of your documents will increase your chance of receiving scholarships, both from the university internally and give you more time to apply for those external scholarships. J'aimerais mentionner que je peux accepter les questions en français et il est bien possible à étudier en français. J'ai une question ici en français pour un master en chimie. Oui, alors effectivement, si vous aimeriez faire une demande, vos études, et même vos études en français, c'est presque le même processus. Si vous avez complété au moins 2 ans des études dans un pays francophone comme la France, vous pouvez être exempté de l'exigence pour une preuve de compétences linguistiques. Et si vous aimeriez m'envoyer un courriel, je vais expliquer tous les processus en français. Parce que cette présentation a été en anglais principalement, juste pour la majorité des étudiants ici. Okay, just very briefly, as I mentioned, the University of Ottawa is bilingual, so we do accept programs and studies in French. I see most of the questions are in English, though. In terms of machine learning or artificial intelligence, yes, there are research groups working in these areas, but we don't have a program specifically called machine learning or artificial intelligence. Again, this would be your master or PhD in computer science, for example, and you would focus your research in one of those areas such as machine learning or artificial intelligence. In terms of computer graphics or design or arts, this is not an area that we really focus on. So if you're interested in more the practical element of doing design, computer graphics, unfortunately, the University of Ottawa does not have much to offer in that regard. If you're interested in more the science behind it, that is a possibility, but we don't have a lot in terms of design. The very best way to get financial aid as a PhD student, again, basically apply for everything. It depends on the student, depends on where you're coming from, what you're studying. There are a lot of different factors, and I basically recommend that you take your time and really apply for every opportunity there is. If you are interested in studying French, we do have French language courses. If you apply for a program in English, for example, you want to do a Master of Science in Mathematics, and you are doing that in English, but you wish to learn French, you can request permission to take extra classes in French language classes for free. So if you're paying full-time tuition, you would get these French classes for free. You do need to get special permission, but it is a very common extracurricular activity that students do. And we do work to support students in learning that additional language. In terms of environmental sustainability, yes, we have a master's in environmental sustainability. It's multidisciplinary, and it involves the Faculty of Science, Faculty of Engineering, and the Faculty of Social Sciences. So you tie in a lot of different aspects of environmentalism. If you have an international business background, it could be possible to do the environmental sustainability program, but you would have to show that you have a solid math and science background. You will be taking science courses in that program, and in the admission process, they will be checking to make sure you have the necessary knowledge to be successful. In terms of doing your application and proving your language ability, for English, we try to accept most of the major tests. That could be IELTS, that could be TOEFL, could be Pearson, could be Cambridge, most of the major ones. Every program has a different requirement level. Some are higher than others. For example, if you're doing chemistry, the language aspect is not quite so demanding. So the language test score is a little bit lower. If you're doing a master's in law, that requires a much stronger language ability. So the language test score will be higher for those programs. In terms of working for 2 years in an English-speaking country like New Zealand, in principle, you could request an exemption, but it would have to be requested individually, and the department would evaluate your situation individually to see if they could exempt you based on working experience. But I can't promise right now if you would be exempted or not, unfortunately. Yes, I see there's quite a few questions about some of the areas they're looking to do research. I won't go into great detail about the specific areas, but I do recommend take your time to read the profiles of professors at the different faculties. It does take a bit of time to find them. Each faculty has a different website, so it's a matter of hunting for them. So I take your time. All right. Let's see. Again, if you have questions and would like some help, please feel free to email me to kind of get some help there. Everything in terms of currency, there's a question there. Everything you see on our website, we use the Canadian dollar. Any Canadian website, if you see dollars, it's automatically Canadian dollars. The only time it would be American dollars, it will indicate it. So if there's no indication, it means Canadian dollars. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of these here. Quickly, professional PhD programs, no. We do not have any professional PhD programs. They're all research-based. The minimum requirement for French, again, will depend on the program. En français, le niveau demandé pour étudier en français, normalement, c'est au moins un B2 pour le DELF, mais effectivement, ça dépend vraiment du programme des études. Ça peut être différent pour chacun. You can find a program list with all the courses you'll take and the content. It is available online. It does require a bit of searching, but again, if you email me, I'd be very happy to direct you to the correct page. Just to reiterate, for any of the research-based master's programs in sciences, engineering, medicine, basically anything you might be doing research in a lab, that's something you will need to find a research supervisor. If you're doing something like arts, social sciences, law, education, master's program in those areas, you do not need to find a supervisor in advance. Computer science, yes, you do need a supervisor. Housing is available on campus, however, that is separate. So it is not automatic. You have to apply to live on campus if you would like, but it is an option. It does cost an additional fee, though. That's entirely separate. I'm going to, okay, I think we're... very last question, can I be a teacher assistant while being a PhD student? Yes, many PhD students are teaching assistants while they study PhD. So I have, I believe, gone way over my time limit here. Thank you all very much for submitting all those questions, for listening in. Again, my name is Kyle, and you're very welcome to email me at sponsoredstudents@uottawa.ca, and I'd be very happy to answer your questions for you, because I know a lot of you have very specific questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kyle, and thank you everyone that participated and took some of your time to be with us today. So as Kyle mentioned, now that you have his contact and you also have the contacts at the CALDO office, make sure that you reach out to either one of CALDO or Ottawa, and we will make sure to clarify any questions that you may have. So the next webinar that we have scheduled is for next week, Thursday the 22nd, where we will have the University of Saskatchewan. So you are more than welcome to register for that if that's the university you would like to know more about. And all the recordings of these presentations will be available at the CALDO YouTube channel, and you will have access to the link afterwards when we will send you the link of the presentation eventually during tomorrow. Thank you so much. Enjoy the week, and make sure that you contact us if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.